Last week, I had an article published at American Thinker that was republished by the Small Business Administration. The title of the article was Trump Cracks Down on Business Fraud. Not being reported widely in the media, but it's a big thing, an important thing which is happening. One of the individuals, one of the professionals who I quoted in that article was Bruce de Torres. He's the director of communications of the American Small Business League. And he said that he hopes that the Small Business Administration looks at the problem of big business getting small business contracts. That sounds pretty serious, and it sounds like something that we should all be concerned about. Bruce de Torres joins me now to elaborate. Bruce, good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you today?
Doing terrific. Bruce, what is going on here? That is fraud, just on the surface. Big business getting small business contracts. None of us want that.
No, and we should not want that because, Rick, we are a small business nation,
Yeah.
and the government ought to be doing much, 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 much more to support small businesses. We have found for decades, and so have congressional investigations, and so has the SBA's Inspector General in years past, that many small business contracts in reality go to the 0.1% of businesses that are big business. 99% of all businesses are small businesses. 98% have less than 100 employees. We have won over 100 Freedom of Information legal battles. ASBL.com. See how this is happening and how no president, no administrator of the SBA, I'm sorry, they're not telling us the truth about where the small business contracts go.
Do you think President Trump is not aware of this yet?
I hope he's not aware of it. I sincerely hope he's not aware. I don't know if he's aware of it or not, but I hope he's not aware of it.
How's it happening in your professional experience and take on this?
It's happening through many ways. Generally, it's loopholes, bad policies, lax oversight by the SBA, which is supposed to monitor this, and frankly, their compliance with fraud. Now, here's the thing: how come every year they say we met that 23% goal? 23% of all federal contracts must go to small businesses. How can they say that? Well, primarily because about half of the federal agencies are exempt from the small business contracting requirement, even though the law says all federal contract dollars, 23% of those must go to small businesses. So if you shrink the total you're calculating from, you can then say 23, 24% went to small businesses. But that's not the only way it happens. It also happens because the different federal agencies have different guidelines. And if they're selling to that if they're buying from that industry or from that industry, they can say that buying from a company with 1,000, 2,000, sometimes up to 26,000 employees is a small business contract. They report that to the SBA. The SBA checks the list and says, great, their requirement of contracts went to small businesses, and where we go year after year. The worst part about this, Rick, is that these big businesses who get billions of dollars of investment from the United States government, they're already big. They don't create new jobs. Whereas legitimate small businesses would create a couple of million new jobs every year on top of what America typically creates. It's standing on the neck of a great economic stimulus that's in the palm of our hands. If we could get this known by Congress or enough media to say, we got to look into this, we got to fix this.
Wow. Yeah, and that was my next question is how do we get the word out there? I mean, how do we get the word out there in a way that creates results? And I think you just answered that through the media and through members of Congress.
Yes, and at ASBL.com, our main site, you
Yeah.
see our history and the documentation of these findings. At our project, don'tcheatwomen.com, there's very, very simple explanation of the problem. A very simple request to raise the percentage that must go to women-owned small businesses and the great things that would cause. A what you can do page. Swipe the letter that explains all this. Send it to and links to get to your congressman, your senators, the president, and also Kelly Loeffler, the administrator of the SBA. So there's a lot to. We tried to put it all there, easily to see, easy to learn, and things to do.
Wow. Bruce Torres, you've explained it so well. You've explained the problem very clearly and distinctly, and what everyday Americans can do to try and get the problem solved. Any final comments?
Yes, the since it's an election year, if plenty of people go to don'tcheatwomen.com and see how unfair it is that the law says 5% of federal contracts must go to women. That's ridiculous. They're half the population, but most importantly, they own 40% of all businesses in America, and they sell what the government buys. It's not DEI. It's not a handout. It's not affirmative action. It's not favoritism. It's just plain economic fairness. And when women are economically worth what men are worth, because men still earn and save more than women, women will be able to run and win office on par with men. Do I have another 30 seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is important because men dominate politically. Half the human race is unfairly excluded from equal participation in politics because they're not worth as much as men. Men hold 75% of all seats in the House, Senate, state legislatures, presidents' cabinets, almost that many governor chairs. They sit in 90% of committee chair and party leadership positions, and they have different priorities and worldviews than women. So, economic equality for women of opportunity will allow them to participate in politics. We need both genders, both halves of the human race participating in the politics that create policy and govern our country.
All right. Very well said. Bruce Torres of the American Small Business League. Website, of course, is asbl.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Back with more right after this.